Do you know what was the last officially released Sega Genesis game? Up until recently, the correct answers would have been either The Lost World Jurassic Park, Madden NFL 98, or Frogger of all things. But now, that's changed. Sure, we got a lot of indie projects for the MegaDrive in recent years, but none of them were officially sanctioned by Sega, until recently. On September 2019, the Sega MegaDrive Mini was released, and with it came a new game for the system. No, I'm not talking about the English translation of Monster World 4, which was a welcome addition and one of my main reasons for buying the console. Nor am I talking about Tetris, which was technically never released but was a Sega sanctioned project. No, I'm talking about Darius, an arcade port of all things. And a damn good one at that. I've been meaning to cover this game for a while now, as covering new games for the MegaDrive has sort of become my thing. But I've also been avoiding doing it because, honestly, I thought this game was gonna get covered to death. This is a new MegaDrive game, launched in an officially sanctioned Sega product. No, more than that, this isn't just an officially sanctioned Sega product. That would have been a product like an At Games MegaDrive. This was officially developed, created internally, and published by Sega. Sure, M2 did the emulation, but the project itself was helmed by Sega. You cannot get more official than this. And yet, nobody cared. If I type Darius MegaDrive review or Darius Genesis review on YouTube, you won't find a single video on it. Sure, you'll find gameplay videos and long plays on it, but an honest-to-God review? I couldn't find any. I mean, it is possible someone did review the game, but let's be honest here, the YouTube algorithm is quite literally the worst thing ever devised by programmers. So it's very likely that it's just buried underneath all this content. This is also why I held off on reviewing this game for so long. I mean, let's be honest here guys, I am a micro YouTuber at best. If a large YouTuber like the AVGN decided to review this game, I'd be done for. But seeing as how everyone forgot about it, I guess I should take a look at this game. Darius was developed in 1987 and released for arcades. The game made a name for itself, not for just being a great shmup at the time, but also because it was played on count 'em, three CRT monitors. This definitely helped the game stand out, as you have a wide field of view no other shmup at the time could match. Unfortunately, this also came at a price, as it meant there was no way to accurately port this game to consoles. There was a port called Super Darius released for the PC Engine CD add-on, which also used the console's RAM expansion pack. But as you can see by just looking at it, the gameplay area has been reduced not just horizontally, but also vertically, as you now have to scroll up and down to see the rest of the stage, which can make the game feel a little bit claustrophobic. I should point out that I'm not the biggest Darius expert out there. I mean, I played the Genesis port of Sagaia, which was fine I guess, and I loved Darius Gaiden for the Saturn. But the first Darius? This is my first time playing it. An interesting story about the MegaDrive port is that unlike what most websites will tell you, this was actually not ported by M2. In fact, clever internet sleuths discovered that it's actually based on the project by Highcade. I'll admit I couldn't find too much information about him, but from what I understand, this dude isn't even a programmer in his day job. He just does it as a hobby. But he loves Darius so much that he decided to port the game to the MegaDrive and retain as much of the game as possible. Can you imagine being this guy? You love an arcade game so much that you learn to code in your free time and then port the arcade game to the MegaDrive just so you can play it at home? There are not enough hats I can tip off to this guy. And honestly, what we got is pretty good. The game runs fast, the colors are good, and the music is really good. I honestly can't find anything wrong with... Oh, so that's why nobody's talking about this game. Yeah, this game is hard. Like, no joke, I'm a huge shmup fan and this is one of the hardest shmups I've ever played. The first few times I played this, I couldn't even get past the first level. Is it me? Am I getting slow in my old age? I honestly think this might be the reason why the larger YouTubers didn't make a proper video on this game. Because clearly, learning to play this port requires serious dedication. But I wasn't about to give up, so I decided to try and play Super Darius on the PC Engine Mini instead. And much to my surprise, this version is way easier. The enemies move a lot slower, making everything more manageable. I got much farther in this version with barely any difficulty. In fact, I would end up using this version as my training wheels before attempting the MegaDrive port once again. And lo and behold, once I returned to the MegaDrive port, I was now doing much better. So, where to begin? Yes, this game is incredibly difficult. The view area is bigger on the MegaDrive thanks to the higher resolution, making everything look more zoomed out. As a result, it can be harder to aim at small targets. Additionally, they came at you much faster than the PC Engine version, which makes this port even more difficult. And yes, it was difficult getting over that initial hurdle, but once you reach the game's intended skill set, it honestly becomes seriously addicting. I absolutely love how intense Darius was on the MegaDrive. This game does not let up. It's constantly throwing enemies at you and forcing you to take split-second decisions to survive. I know that's technically what every shmup does, but this one is just so much more intense. It honestly reminded me of Contra Hardcore in how intense it was. And if you've seen my top 30 Sega Genesis games video, then you know Contra Hardcore is my favorite Genesis title. I was also really impressed by its graphics and sound. Put the level 1 music from the arcade next to its Genesis counterpart and you'll be hard pressed to find any differences. I mean, the PC Engine port obviously used CD audio to pull off its music, but this is running on the Sega Genesis sound chip, and it sounds amazing! The graphics also look near arcade perfect, except for the fact that it's obviously running at 4:3 instead of the triple screen setup. But the colors, movement, and enemy size honestly seem as near close to the arcade as possible, and definitely an improvement over the chubbier PC Engine enemies. Now, the Darius series is known for having its enemies, especially the bosses, modeled after marine life, like carps, octopi, shellfish, that sort of thing. And while that is pretty cool, I have to say, the thing that impressed me the most were the backgrounds. I mean, yeah, sure, they were just static images. At most, you'd maybe have a flashing light in the background, and not all backgrounds were winners. In fact, some were embarrassingly simple. But my god, just look at this! This doesn't even look like pixel art. It looks like I'm flying in a painting. Sure, they don't have any animation, but I honestly don't care. It's just so beautiful. Or this one. Look at those rays of light penetrating the waterline. I absolutely love some of these backgrounds and I would just marvel at them. I will say that I felt some of these weren't as well done on the PC Engine though, especially the underwater one. But the Raging Waters one is still beautiful no matter which version you play. At the end of each level, you can select which path you want to take, meaning you have a total of 26 levels, but you only actually play 7 in each run. which definitely gives some nice replay value. But unfortunately, not all is well with this game. And it's not really a problem with the port itself, but rather with the game this is based on. You see, the game has a power-up system for your main weapon, your bombs, and your shield. And for the most part, this works well enough. But the problem is, that is literally all you get. You start with a pea shooter and then pick up the first upgrade and then get a slightly faster fire rate for your pea shooter. Then you get a double shot, then a faster double shot, then a triple shot, then a faster triple shot. It honestly just becomes boring. One of my favorite things about shmups is the option to pick up an upgrade and change into a new weapon that is better suited for my situation. But this? You're just constantly stuck with the same forward-firing weapon and the same downward-shooting bombs. And it gets really boring after a while. Well, kind of. After picking up your 10th power-up, your weapons will change. Your frontal weapon becomes a laser, and your bombs now shoot both downward and upward. But here's the thing, this is still the same weapon. Sure, now your laser goes through enemies, and your bombs also hit upwards. But you're still technically using the same weapon you were firing from the first stage. And after a while, I just got really bored of my arsenal because I kept employing the same tactics over and over again. It also doesn't help that when you upgrade to the laser, you get a single shot, whereas before I was using a triple shot. Because of this, my shooting angles became much narrower, meaning the game actually became more difficult after upgrading my weapon. Additionally, if you lose a single life, you'll also lose every upgrade you've caught up to that point. And honestly, you just might as well reset the game once that happens. Now granted, if you got your 10th power-up, then after dying, you actually reset to the lowest version of your upgraded weapon. Meaning, if you reach the laser, you still get to keep the laser, but the lowest version of the laser. And you also get to keep the upwards and downwards bomb, but only in their lowest incarnations. And you need to upgrade them once again. As I mentioned before, this game is super intense. But the developers also realized this, because one of the power-ups is a shield, which is super useful. This shield can take quite a bit of punishment before it goes down. And let me tell you, every time you lose that shield, it's like a mini heart attack. On the other hand, being able to replenish the shield after losing it is the biggest sense of relief I felt since finishing my college entry exams. Now, to be fair, the game does have some cool options for those willing to play Darius differently. Not only do you have difficulty settings, but you can also change your ship. Changing to the blue ship means that you get to keep all your upgrades after losing a life. You can also choose between the arcade version of Darius or the 26 bosses from the PC Engine version, which contains enemies that never made it into the final release of the original arcade game. I mean, you even got a boss rush mode. This is honestly a ton of content for a shmup. I mean, content-wise, this is most likely the most complete version of Darius out there. And considering all the options you get, this is honestly kind of amazing. Going back to the PC Engine version, I can definitely notice a few changes. You've got the same options as a MegaDrive Mini version, except for the original arcade run. I also noticed the colors are a lot more garish here. And like I said before, the enemies are slower, chubbier, easier to hit, easier to dodge, and the game doesn't cover the entire screen, forcing you to scroll up and down to see the rest of the stage. But the worst part is that after playing the MegaDrive version, I honestly had a lot of trouble playing the PC Engine port now. It was just so slow and easy that I was honestly a bit bored. Again, this could have been mitigated by having different weapon power-ups, but playing it here just seems to highlight that game design issue even further. I also noticed a ton of flicker in places, especially during boss fights or in the areas where you're supposed to choose your next level. I think what happened here is that the developers took into account the lack of horizontal view area from the arcade and decided to slow down the game to make it easier, while the MegaDrive version kept the enemies at the same speed to be more true to the spirit of the arcade. Both are valid choices, and I don't think there's a right or wrong decision here, but it does mean that the PC Engine version is the easiest one to get into and also serves as the training wheels for the much more difficult MegaDrive port. Which, yes, it's harder, but I also find it much more satisfying. But then again, I am a glutton for punishment, and I've always enjoyed difficult, twitchy games. So whichever version you want to play is up to you, as they are both good in their own way. But we're not done yet. You see, the arcade version of Darius was also recently released for the PS4 and Nintendo Switch, as part of the Darius Cozmic Collection arcade. This includes 3 variants of the original Darius game, 3 variants of its sequel, Darius 2 or Sega, and Darius Gaiden. So I say, we might as well come full circle and try out the arcade version as well. I think there's a problem here. Hold on, let me check. Yes, I see it now. Okay, yes, I think I see what's wrong now. I can't see shit. I just can't see shit, okay? I can see exactly fuck all.
Wow. Fucking bullshit, fucking bullshit, fucking bullshit, holy shit, oh fucker.
How the hell am I supposed to play this? Am I supposed to mount 3 screens? Can the PS4 and Switch even do that? Look guys, I'll level with you. I just can't play this. And the options aren't much help either. I mean, you can stretch vertically, which... oh god, no. This was somehow even worse, as I suddenly felt like there was something wrong with my ship movement and bullet travel speed. It's like the horizontal speed for everything became slow and floaty, while the vertical speed did not. So because of that, my ship and bullets became painfully slow due to trying to stretch 3 screens into one. I don't know, I can't describe it, but it's weird. But it was also the only way I could play it somewhat. Well, that's not entirely true. Believe it or not, this game is actually more playable in portable mode. Not because of any additional screen options, but simply because I have the screen so mushed against my face that it's actually easier for me to see where I'm going. Which is still not ideal, but is at least playable. Barely. It also means I couldn't capture any footage while playing it in handheld mode, so you'll mostly just be watching random gameplay footage of the arcade version while my eyes try to survive this onslaught. I did notice that because of the wider view area, your bullets take a long time to travel to the end of the screen. This meant that the weapon refire rate upgrades, which were sorta pointless in the console versions, are surprisingly useful here. I'm also guessing it means that the laser is much more useful here, as it will go through every enemy as it travels to the end of the screen. But I didn't get that far. I mean, I'm sorry, but I can barely play this game for 20 minutes without my eyes hurting. I can at least confirm that the MegaDrive colors are much more similar to the arcade version, as well as the enemy speed, which confirms my earlier suspicions. That the PC Engine version was adapted to fit the console limitations, while the MegaDrive port retains the spirit of the original. But honestly, that's about as far as I can get into this game, and I seriously got a headache while playing this. Now to be fair, the rest of this collection is pretty solid. Darius 2 or Sega ran on 2 screens in its original arcade version, making it far more playable on modern televisions. And if you do stretch the image, well, it's not terrible, I guess. But it's also not required, as you have enough screen real estate as it is. And Darius Gaiden ran on just 1 screen in the arcades, so I guess they kept decreasing the number of screens as the series went on. I recall playing this game on my friend's Sega Saturn and being super jealous of how good it was back in the day. And playing it now, I can safely say that it's even better than I remember. And it's by far the best entry in this collection, with great melancholic music, top-notch graphics that mix 2D sprites with early 3D effects that would feel right at home on the Sega Saturn, as well as a superb art direction. I'd go as far as to say this collection is worth getting for this title alone. But Sagaya and Darius 2 are also a nice bonus. As for the original Darius, look, if you own an ultra-wide TV set or a triple screen setup, I'm sure Darius on the PS4 and Switch is great. But if you're like the rest of us common mortals, chances are that's not an option for you. Because of that, I'd sooner recommend either the PC Engine or MegaDrive ports, both of which are great in their own respective ways. As for myself, I've made the decision of playing Darius on the MegaDrive Mini. But if you don't agree with that, the good news is that we now have plenty of options to choose from. Hey everyone, thank you for watching Stika's Retro Corner. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video. All that fun social media stuff. And you can also support me on Patreon. It may not seem like it, but even $1 is a really big help in keeping this channel going. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Bye!